Welcome back to my my third episode of Break Free with T Marie. I'm your girl, T Marie, aka your edupreneur, aka your visionary, aka let's make it happen, right? But that's what I'm talking about today. What it looks like to make it happen, or more importantly, what it looks like to have it all. Is that possible? Is it really possible to have it all? Some people would say it depends. Some people would say it's relative. Well, I'm gonna dig a little deep into it. I really would like to kind of probably do this as a two-part because I also want to talk about the mental health side of it. But today I'm just going to talk about what it looks like to kind of have it all, really dive into can you have it all, right? And so that's the reality. You know me. I am going to give you little tea bags to dip into your entrepreneurial tea. I'm also going to look at my notes because I make sure that I am on point with my notes so that I can deliver all the information to you in a systematic and seamless way. So let's just jump right into it. This episode, again, is having it all. Spoiler alert, sometimes all can be a mess. It ain't always cute. We like to post for the social media and all that things that we got it all together, but the reality of it is we do not, right? The reality of it is to get to it all. Sometimes we have to suffer through some things. We got to heal through some things, right? To get to the all. I just want to kind of talk about really quickly before I go into my notes what all is. Sometimes all is not all that we think it should be. What I mean by that is we have to be very conscious in speaking to God about what it is we should be having, because a lot of times we go down a lot of lanes that's not our all. It's not for us. And so once again, we're taking on the things, like I said in my first episode, we're taking on things that God didn't even purpose us to have. So you want all of this and you shouldn't even be going after it, right? The other thing is sometimes all is just facade, show, and materialistic. I'm gonna pause on that one right there. Let's take a purpose pause. I interject and put that in there. It's not in my notes, but I am gonna say let's take a purpose pause on those things. They're facades. They're materialistic. What I mean by that is it's something that we're going after because we've seen it, right? And we think that's something we should have too. It's materialistic. Some of those things kind of coincide with each other. We feel like we've got to have the new, we've got to have the biggest, we've got to have all of this. And then the reality of it is it's not what you need. And again, going back to God, it's not what He even purposed for you. Before my son got into his accident, I swore, oh my gosh, I swore that getting to the bag was it, right? It was necessary. It was what I needed. It was my all, right? And that everything would fall once I got to that. But once I had that experience with him and I saw that the reality of it is in that moment, all was to have my son live. It's powerful, right? All of the things that I thought were my all were irrelevant because to have my son say appreciate or what's up, ma, or whatever, right? That would have been my all at that time. And it still is. Like to see my son walk, I would give up all of this stuff, the businesses, the degrees, right? Just to see him walk and talk again. That's not my reality right now. And so I am digressing just a bit. But the fact of the matter is, before we go into the whole premise of the show, let's make sure we keep in context what all is. And in order to put it in proper context, we need to make sure that we're aligning ourselves to God and that our spirit is in tune to hear what He has to say. So that in fact, when He downloads to us, He's giving us the pure, the dirty of what all really looks like. So we ain't running after stuff that don't even matter. Listen, you can get the bag. That's easy. And when I mean bag, I don't mean money. I'm talking about you can get your purse, you can get your car, you can get your house, you can get all of that. But I promise you, it's not going to be the self-fulfilling thing. It's not going to be that id, right? It's not going to be the thing that fulfills and fills your cup up. It is those things what I'm talking about today that are purposeful, meaningful, have a major impact on not just your life, but the community and your family. I'm gonna throw a little plug in here. I read this book twice, and I'm probably, as I was driving here, I thought about this book. I put it out of my mental repertoire, and I said, I'm probably gonna read it thrice. We Should All Be Millionaires. It was a hot ticket. All of my like book girlies, all of my business girlies, like we were all down on it, right? It was the thing. It was almost as much as the thing as this new Tyler Perry movie, but I digress. Like that's a ticket right now. But that book, We Should All Be Millionaires, was a thing. And what I love about it and what it does is it kind of spins the ideology that in order to have it all, we need to be millionaires. What she's saying is exactly the opposite. She's saying when we get it all, right, as women, particularly women, I know there's men out there, hey y'all. Uh, but when women get it all, right? When we have those millions and when we become those seats at the table, we make different decisions. Those decisions affect our families. It affects our community. It affects our church. It affects the things that mean something and that can carry on, right? Our children's children. That's what's inside of us as natural nurturers. So you give us $1 million, we're going to donate. We're going to make sure that the baseball team has all that it needs. Like, I'm talking about a real true woman now. I ain't talking about a woman who has not evolved. I'm not talking about a woman who doesn't know what the real is, right? I'm talking about a woman who is really rooted and grounded and can say, here's what's needed, and because I have it, I'm willing to supply or at least be a catalyst to supply these things. That's what the premise of the book is about. And it also talks about, and I'll kind of, talk about this as we go because it's very relevant, the things we need in order to get to that. And so that to me today is the all, but in the book it's the millions, right? So what do we need? We need a team. We need all of those things. And I've talked about that in our first episode. I talked about it in our second episode. But let me get back to my notes. Selfless plug. We Should All Be Millionaires. Go get that book. If you haven't read it already, or like me, twice, I'm going to read it a third time before I get back into school while I have a little bit of time. All right. But it says, but the key to managing is the way that honors your purpose, your peace, and yes, your power. So in order to get it, it's the key to it is to manage your purpose, your peace, and your power. Okay. And of course, we're going to drop some tea. Here's the thing: boundaries and balance. In order to get to it, excuse me, it's allergy season and it's been tearing me up. So I may do that a few times. Boundaries and balance. It is imperative that when we're driving down the street to get to it all, that we set up boundary, we set up balance. Let me stop there. I haven't gotten there yet. And that's the purpose of this podcast. It's not for me to sit here and preach like I got it all or like I know it all, because I don't. That's the reality. I don't, and I'm still learning. We're going to learn together, right? But learning boundaries, I'm getting better at. Creating balance, I'm still developing. And notice I said developing. That is a growth mindset, right? I didn't say I can't do it yet. No, 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 no. I said I'm getting there. As my mom likes to say, this is an opportunity. So in a growth mindset, I'm getting there. I'm approaching that. It's an opportunity for my development and my growth, right? I know a few women who are ahead of this already. My childhood friend Deetra, she has her own podcast and her own ministry. Um, she's always preaching about boundaries, setting those boundaries, because one, they give you your time back, but two, they allow you to compartmentalize what really matters. And sometimes, just sometimes, some of the things that cross into our boundaries, they affect us, but they shouldn't, because they're not relevant. They don't matter. They don't matter much. All right, let's go into it. The myth of having it all. Let's start with this idea that we're supposed to have it all. We were kind of taught that, at least I was, right? And it could be just how I was raised. Not that my parents did a bad job, but you know, in my era, it was about getting to your next, right? At that time, our parents were working in careers or doing those things, and so acquiring things mattered: the home, the car, It was the American way, still is, right? That hasn't gone anywhere, not at all. It's just that I think some of us are starting to realize, as we're more so internalizing what it takes to get there, that it's not as mandatory to have all those things. Let something happen that rocks your life. It's going to change your perspective on what all looks like. I'm going to keep talking about that because I've had a life changing reality that has changed what all looks like for me. All right. What does it say here? What does it look like? What is it supposed to be? What does that even mean? For me, I'm going to just go into it. It's raising my family. I have 5 children, 4 of which are grown, 31, 23, 20, and 18. And then I have an 8-year old. I had her at 40. That was great. I know I looked 27, but whatever. Um, so for me, it is family. It is definitely leading my businesses. Shout out to my 2 schools, not one, but 2. Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy. I'm always going to brand my stuff. Let me move my hair out the way. Always going to brand my stuff. Always have on one of my shirts because it's important to do so. um, and Impact Child Behavioral Services Inc., which is a micro school that focuses on children on the autism spectrum. So my Kingdom Kids school was a micro school. We moved into a large building, which was an old school. So we have a real school building, and we focus on the whole child development. We focus on social emotional learning, and of course the academics. So our core value system is HEAL, holistic health, which is mind, body, and spirit. E is economic and entrepreneurship. How could it not be, right? A is academics because I mean it's a school. Hello, and L is leadership, or like I said in my other episode, also good followership. So that is the core value system of Kingdom Kids. Now, Impact again is specifically focused on children on the spectrum, intellectual disabilities, and children with traumatic brain injuries. Because my son suffers from one, I saw the need, and so I decided to fill it. Right, that's an area that could use a little assistance. So those are my things. But then, so I said my family, I said my 2 businesses, and now this podcast. You guys have now become part of my purpose. And then my school. I am in school for my doctorate degree in ministry, which I always knew that I would get that. My grandmother prophesied it over me. I thought she was crazy. It is my thing. I'm taking that on because here's why I say that purposely. Your having it all cannot be contingent on what other people want you to have or told you should be doing. This is where you seek God. This is where you ask him, is this is what you want? And the way I was led into getting this degree, the way I was led into even signing up for this school, the way the signs just kept putting themselves before me, I knew it was God because trust and believe me, there's no way I would have gone to school to be a minister. Did I want that doctorate? Yes. Here's the other piece. Do I want it now or could I wait? This is where it was very challenging for me at the time because I'm the type of person who, if I want it, I go get it now. And I did the same thing with this degree when I signed up in January. But again, I knew it was for me because it all aligned, even when they told me, you're not qualified. Yes, they told your girl in the interview, you're not qualified for this degree because you need to have a master's in divinity. And I didn't have that. My master's degree is in business. And they said, well, you're not qualified. And I said, well, try me. They told me to come back in a day and a half with a 5-page paper on a scripture that they pulled out of nowhere. And your girl knocked that thing out the box. They said unequivocally, you are prepared to take this course. And so let me just put this in here. I left here last Monday, went home and finished my 15-page final paper for my first class that I took on the Doctorate of Divinity or Doctor of Ministry program. And I got a B, y'all. I got a B in the overall class. That's crazy because remember, they told me I couldn't have it. Told me I wasn't ready for it. So those are my whys, my family, my 2 businesses, this podcast, and my degree, right? All of these things I have to prioritize, but I also have to set boundaries. I have to be time driven, right? I have to make sure that I'm putting things in a proper bucket. And I'm just going to be real with y'all. I don't do that very well all the time. Some people lose out. For example, my daughter was acting up at school Friday. Now, mind you, she goes to my school. So it's like the preacher kid. They get to acting up. Here she go, acting up, showing off. And I was very upset, very frustrated. Called my mom. She's acting up. And my mother, of course, is like, well, what are the things that's going on? What's different? And so what I did was, after we went to see her brother at the rehab on Saturday, I wanted to just go home and curl up and watch a Tubi, right? But I said, you know what? Double down and let's just go take her to the boardwalk. Let's just go to the boardwalk. And when I tell you, y'all, this is what having it all looks like. This is what having it all looks like because I had a little more energy in me. I could have easily just went home, but I followed the spirit. I drove to the boardwalk with her. It was about dusk. It was getting a little dark, but the weather was great. I pulled up to the wine vault slash the ice cream. Makes sense, right? You know what I'm saying? Had me a glass of wine, and she had a bowl of ice cream, and that was it. Like $11, $12. And we just chilled and we people watch, which I love to do. And we walked around the boardwalk. She wanted to take a few pictures, hopped in the car, went home, got us another snack. And by 11 o'clock, she was literally falling asleep saying, Mommy, I love you. I had so much fun. I want to say she said that maybe 3 or 4 times in a matter of an hour. That's all she wanted. That's all she wanted. And so in order to have it all, you got to make some sacrifices, but they're not all bad sacrifices. You just got to slow down, put things in perspective and say, okay, who needs what time from you? And find that time. Now, what I did explain to her is we can't do this every Saturday. We just can't. Financially, it doesn't make sense. Yes, it's only $11, but two businesses, I'm budgeting, right? The time aspect, I still got to get to the rehab on my Saturdays to see my son until he comes home. And then even when he's home, making sure I'm spending time with him when I can, right? Um, so it's important that I communicated to her that this will be something we do on a monthly basis. So let me drop down to the next thing. It's not in my notes. Scheduling. Can't do anything without my calendar. Everything goes on my Outlook. Nail appointment, getting my hair braided, even though my hair braider lives right in the house. Everything, right, goes on my calendar. So now from now on, I'm scheduling out a monthly mommy daughter day with just she and I. And she's so selfless that she even decided, well, can we bring Aaliyah, which is my granddaughter, right? Because they're so close. We can even bring Aaliyah. So see, it's not even that she wants to take away. She still wants to share me with other people, but she wants my time to be intentional. So that's another piece of having it all. You have to be intentional about the things that you want and go get it. I was just listening to a word on my way here today. And the brother said, God does not want us to be comfortable, nor does he want us to be complacent. And so let's not get it twisted. To just sit there in neutral is not acceptable and by any means and by anybody's sight. Your job is to move and go forward. Period. People will tell you, well, ain't you good with just having? Why you just let me tell y'all something that burned me up one time. I first moved to Charlotte and I lived in an apartment. It was a nice apartment compared to where I came from. Baby, you couldn't tell me nothing. I had granite. Like that wasn't happening where I came from. So in my mind, this is wonderful. But after about 3, 4 months, the apartment complex that I was in kind of turned a little ghetto, just a little bit. And I wasn't having it. I wasn't comfortable with that because I moved here for a reason. My homegirl come up at the time, she was my homegirl. And I say to her, she said, oh, this is nice. And I say, yeah, I'm about to get out of here though. Like I'm not staying here. I might have been there 6 months. So I'm not staying here when my lease is up. I'm out of here. She was like, why you always just gotta want something or what? And that stuck with me and made me so upset because she meant that. She went back and named a lot of things that I've done as if I was ungrateful. And that's y'all, that's where imposter syndrome set in, because up until probably 2 years ago, I questioned myself too. Like, why you always chasing after someone? Why you always want? But that's what it is, though. That's what you can be around people who can tell you otherwise, and you're gonna be in that same situation, i.e., crabs in the barrel. Or you could hop on a train and be like, nah, it's nothing wrong with wanting more and going for it, all in proper context, all in due season, and all in having that conversation with God to make sure that what you're asking for makes sense and aligns to what He wants for you. That's the key. But don't stop. Don't think that you got to just, because this is what I have, I got to settle for that. Absolutely not. Unacceptable. All right, let me get back because I'm going all in. All right. So I said it again, but here's what I've learned: having it all doesn't mean doing it all at once. So I talked about that. And so I questioned myself when I went to school. But I will say that when I launched Kingdom Kids, I launched that following my son's advice. Before, when I had my daycare, I had about 3 businesses running, but none of them aligned to each other. They was just me doing stuff because I was a new entrepreneur and I wanted to make sure that I maintained something, right? But I never connected to God and said, yo, if this is what you want me to do, roll with me and carry me. This is what you do, your will, your bill, right? I didn't do that. What I did was I just did what I thought was going to make me some money. That's not purposeful, right? Because what we have to continue to realize is having it all is not monetary. It's about purpose. I keep saying that. It's about, we talk about passion a lot. I'm kind of on the fence with that because passion could be like a little, like, are you in love type of deal. That can fade. But purpose, that thing is down deep. It's what you're supposed to be doing, right? So it's not doing it all at once. It's titrating, building upon something. And as you build that thing and it gets some momentum, then you might want to do something else. I've had Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy now for 3.5 years. It's just getting some visibility now, but I've been doing it. And if you add the daycare prior to that, so I'm going into almost 5 years of this space of one being an entrepreneur, but more importantly, being an edupreneur. So I got some skin in the game, right? And then I added impact just this year. Had the incorporation last year, but never moved on it till this year. So by right, I'm scaling just right. Right. And then when it all got together and it started making sense, I got the building and boom, now I got 2 businesses in one building, one lease agreement, right? But now I'm able to make sense of it. And so it doesn't feel as heavy as it would if I started them both at the same time. So you can't do it all at once. Now, then we add the school thing in. Remember, I said I wanted to go to school, and I had tried to go to school before. The programs I was in before required so much of me, week after week after week after week. I had to be in class, right? I had to have my papers done. I had to meet with groups. Challenging. This is when I knew it was God when I signed up for this school program for my doctorate in ministry. They told me, oh, we meet once a month, one day, all day. So you block off your calendars for Monday. We'll be in class from 9 to 5. You have one paper due, and we build up to it. Once a month. Perfect. Again, when it's right and it's supposed to be for you, it'll make sense. So now I literally can kind of do a piece of the paper one week, another piece of the paper. I could just sit back and knock off a 5-page paper in no time. And then when it's time for the 15, I add them all together. But it's about good time management, but it's also about the right program at the right time for you. And so in this case, I'm able to have it all. I'm able to run my 2 businesses out of one location. Smart. I'm able to still have my children with me because they come to school with me. Smart. I get to see my oldest son. He's, my 20-year-old. He's in and out. He's a 20-year-old. And I see my 31-year-old all the time because why? She come pick her kids up. And then of course I live with my husband, so I'm still getting to have all of the things, be connected to all of the things. Now, let's go back. Remember, I said I don't have it all together. Zion wanted my attention. Sometimes my husband's like, people are like, you're always busy. This is where I have to learn to cut it off, right? I have to compartmentalize things. So here's what I came up with this weekend. The thing I dread, it seems a little pretentious to me, but I got to get another phone. It's one thing I'm going to do. I put one thing in motion. I'm going to get another phone. Therefore, I can turn one phone off. It's a business phone. I don't have to answer it. Because for some reason, if you text me at 8 o'clock at night and ask me something about your child for school, I'm going to respond. It's just in me, right? But that's family time. And so, since I don't have that willpower, I put a mechanism in place. What mechanisms can you put in place to kind of compartmentalize your time to make sure that you're present? So, moving forward, I hope that this is kind of something that helps me be more present, not always looking at my social media, not always looking at text messages, not always checking emails, not always on Chat GPT creating or editing a document. There's a time to cut it off. And that's where I fail, right? And at one point it was affecting my mental health. Listen, I'm gonna go away. We're gonna get a quick break, come back, do a purpose pause when we get back, and then I'll kind of talk about some more steps and some more concepts that can perhaps allow you to have what's supposed to be your all. All right, we'll be back. At Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, our focus is on developing the whole child. We do this by focusing on our core value system, which is the acronym HEAL. That stands for Holistic Health, Mind, Body, and Spirit. E stands for Economic and Entrepreneurship. A stands for Academic Success. And L stands for Leader Development. So what our goal is to do is to make sure they are academically, socially, and emotionally sound individuals.
Kingdom Kids has made a big impact on all three of my children. I have a 5-year-old that's reading very well, can express his emotions. Which is really big. I have an 11-year-old who was having problems with ADHD, focusing in the traditional school, and now he's here. We appreciate the one-on-one Miss Tanisha has for our children.
At Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, we don't just teach. Our goal is to build future leaders.
Hi, I am Zoe, and I am a graduate of Kingdom Kids. I enjoyed and loved the program so much to the point where I come back on my free time and volunteer.
We believe every child is born with greatness. We believe every kid has a quirk. At Kingdom Kids, our goal is to empower them to soar and reach it.
If you're ever looking for a place that your child can be wholesome, your child can be who they are, and the teacher can meet them where they are, I truly, truly, truly would say Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy.
At Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy, we're looking for families like you. Will you join us? All right, y'all, welcome back. We had a little purpose pause, right? We're going to come back and we're going to talk about managing, right? And so for me, I'm going to say managing my big three. I've already kind of delved into what my big three is. So let's go back to them. They're my family. It's going to be first. Well, God, my family, my business, and my degree, right? And so making sure that I get all of these. These are my alls. Think about your alls and what you really are saying is imperative for you to have. Because if you're still talking after I've talked for 30 minutes, if you're saying that your all is getting to, all this money or the big house or this fancy car, like you missed it. And that's kind of not where we're going with this. We're talking about the things that are deep down, that are purposeful, that if you didn't get paid for it, right, you would still do it anyway. They're the things that if everything was taken from you, you'd still do it anyway. That was my reality. That's what happened. When my son was in his accident, I had to realize what was really important to me and then go after it. Once I processed everything, got my mental health back together, like I knew that I couldn't quit my school, even though it was at a very infancy stage. I still had to keep pushing. Because one, what is it really worth? Like, what did I do all this sacrificing for? And two, when he does come through, because we believe by your stripes he will be healed, right? When he comes through, how disappointed would he be that I gave up everything, right? He helped me plant and build this. And so for me to say I quit, absolutely not. And then furthermore, how would that affect my mental health? Giving up something that's deep down inside of me that's growing, and then I just cut it off at the root. Absolutely not. So I kept going. I told you I have the five children, five of them. My gosh, and it's not easy. And let me see, three grandchildren. I keep forgetting about my Jacu. I have three beautiful grandchildren. And so, although my children, my grandkids, and my youngest, and my 18-year-old attend Kingdom Kids Empowerment Academy with me, that's a rare blessing that everyone doesn't get to have. And so you need to make sure that when you're having all of these things going on, that you're still prioritizing in order to spend quality time with these family members or the thing that's important to you. It could be your dog, right? That could be just as important. I have a dog. I love her, right? She's part of my team. Even that, I got to make sure that I'm giving my dog a little more time. She deserves that. She got me through some dark stuff. Business, in addition to leading my home, I also have these two businesses. I have to nurture them. They require a lot of my time, right? My doctorate degree, working on that, it requires a lot of my time, but because it's purposeful, because it's just the right program and in the right season and timing, I'm able to accomplish that and do it rather well because it was given to me. It wasn't something that I necessarily sought after. Does that make sense? Cool, great. All right, now social life, here's where I'm struggling. I have none. Not too long ago, Kevin called me and was like, I'm doing a comedy show. You should come out. I'm like, dang, like, how did he know that I don't go anywhere? I haven't gone anywhere. One, because this new journey, my new spiritual journey, I'm very selective as to where I go. I'm not saying I live a holier than thou life, right? But I am selective of where I go because certain things just don't feel the same or feel right. But I just felt like this would be a good, clean experience and opportunity for me to be out and be grown a little bit, put some clothes on. So I did, and I had a ball. A couple weeks ago, I went and did a. He had another event. It was a not a comedy show. What was it, Kev? It was a poetry night, and I was the actual judge. I had a ball, but it was grown up. It was nice. It was good. It was a good time. I got to be out, be grown, get dressed. Took my adult daughter out, and so what I realized in that moment is you can get out and have a good, clean fun, have some fun, go back in and put your head down and still do work. You need to cut it off and make sure that you're doing these things for your own mental health. You have to prioritize yourself. Going to get your nails done. I've been looking up hotel rooms to just go to Charleston and just sit by the water, right? Just for me, just by myself, actually, to give myself that clarity so that I can come back and remain whole. You have to prioritize these things as a level of self-care. Doesn't have to cost you a whole lot of money. Maybe you just go to the boardwalk. Maybe you just go to the mountains. Maybe you go somewhere where you can just kind of just be close and one with God. Maybe you go out with your significant other. But again, don't make money be a thing, right? Just taking a trail walk once a day could be that thing, but you have to prioritize yourself in doing that. I have struggled with that. It is to be expected because overachieving women tend to do that. We put ourselves to the side, we put everyone else ahead of us, which is why the next time I have this conversation, I want to talk to someone who I think she's going to come on and be on my show. And she's going to talk about, hustling as an entrepreneur, but what that looks like with your healing and your mental health, because it will affect you. And so now recognizing that, man, it's been times where I'm just, that whole team no sleep. Don't do that. You got to sleep. You have to rest. You have to hydrate, ladies. But you also have to take that time for yourself where it's not mommy, mommy, mommy. It's not babe, do this. Did you check the mail? Did you check your email? It's not boss lady this. It's just you and God and some serenity. That's important. Maybe it's just you and some jazz music. Maybe it's just you and you went on a gospel retreat. Like whatever your thing is, you deserve that. If you want to have it all, You have to, because otherwise you'll crash and you'll burn. And that's the thing that I don't think we realize. Like, a lot of us are talking about that movie Straw. She had, had it. It was her last straw because a lot of things in life had hit her. But what about the things that we pile on into life, right? And make them look like they're all good? Because I can say, oh, my businesses, that's good stuff, right? That's good. School, that's good stuff, right? It is in context, though, because too much of a good thing turns into a bad thing. And essentially, that's what I'm talking about. Okay, we got all this good stuff going, but it will still wear on your mental health, your physical health. It will holistically tear you apart. And so for me, I also said I'm going to go back into probably just finding myself a yoga class, um, and just kind of tapping into that so that I can center myself. Again, no one's pulling on me, no one's calling on me. For an hour, it's just me and my spirit and whoever's telling me what to do with these stretches. But I enjoy that, and it makes sense, and it's going to keep me focused and able to come out ready to do the good work, because it is good. It's all good. Everything I'm doing, I think, is great. And everything you're doing is probably great. But if it comes to a point where you're like, yo, what is going on? It's because you need to put a pin in it. It's time to reevaluate. One, is it all good? Was I ordained to do this? Is it my purpose driven thing to do? Or am I doing so much of it that I haven't stopped and put a pin in it to focus on me? That's my thing right there. All right, so here's my next purpose pause. What do you miss doing that used to make your soul light up? Block that thing off on your calendar. That's where I came from. I love yoga. I actually love working out, and going to the gym. I had a trainer. He was really, really great. But I hurt my knee, and I just don't. I like the heavy lift, and so I just don't want to go back into that life, because I have an addictive spirit. Once I get into it, I go crazy. So I'll be skinny as a rail. So I said I don't want to do that, but I do need to do something that's physical, because I love to stretch my body and test my body to the limits. So yoga would be the next best thing. I know it seems odd, but I kind of do it in like extreme. I'm an extreme yoga is just like I was an extreme lifter. And so I'm gonna block that off on my calendar. Um, I like going by the water because I live in North Carolina now. We don't have as much, so I'll have to block that off and be more intentional about making myself go sit by water and finding real banks of water. So it's gonna take a little more planning, because I'll have to drive a little further, but it makes me go right. It fills me back up just sitting and watching the water, putting my feet in the water. So I have to be intentional about it. But what is your thing? Like, can you sit down and say, I really enjoy? And let's keep in mind, they don't all have to cost a lot. I found some free yoga classes. It's warm out. They have some in the park. Like, being intentional, even in that. Even if you have the bag and your money is up and all that is great. Like, if we're really looking at purpose, it has nothing to do with money. That's the thing I want to get across. Purpose, passion, having it all. None of this is about having all the money. It's about having all your purpose stuff lined up and being able to knock them things off the box. Check, check. I feel like I'm in that season right now. But to my point, and what I'm sharing with you is there are some flaws, there are some things, there's some opportunities that I can go at, and I'm sure there's some that you have as well that are causing you some agita or causing you some just frustration. And it's probably something so simple like blocking some time off on your calendar for yourself. I'm gonna take my own advice. Okay, move forward. Number 4, action steps to reclaim your time. I love this right here. And so when I read this and when I was doing research on some things that you can do, action steps, this really kind of stuck out to me. So I'm going to read them just how they came off, right? So Sunday mapping, this one right here, I kind of started doing it more for the business, but the way this was written out, I'm really going to be intentional about this. And I really, really highly recommend you do the same. So here's Sunday mapping. Every Sunday, sit down and map out your week. I'm more so map out like what's gotta happen in my head, but it's something about writing that thing pen to paper, right? What events am I gonna have? Therapy appointments, which I haven't scheduled, but you get my point. Therapy appointments, study blocks for my doctoral degree, time with the kids and my grandkids, like whatever it is that you need to do, be intentional. Remember, I said earlier, I put everything on my calendar. This is going deeper because it's starting on a Sunday and we're putting it and making it really clean and making sure that we're purposeful and intentional with putting those things down. Not just as they come, oh, let me put this on my calendar. That's going to happen too. But we're talking about sitting down and intentionally mapping that thing out. Time blocking. Everything gets a block, even rest. I read that somewhere. Like we're going to just intentionally block off. And this would work wonders for me at work. If I just said, during this time and this time, I'm doing nothing. Do not bother me. Now, that could mean that you're in your room, in your office, doing some meditation. That could also mean that you have a meeting. That could also mean you have some reading to do. But whatever it is, don't bother me, right? I like that one. I like the time blocking a lot. Morning rhythm, not a rigid routine, just a rhythm of prayer. Now, I love that my church has a 6 a.m. prayer. About a month ago, I kind of fell off of that, but I hate that I did, and so I've been getting back on it. Even set my timer to jump up and hear the prayer. Even if I'm not physically up out the bed, I turn that prayer on so I can hear it. But it was better when I was physically jumping out and just start doing my thing, but listening to that prayer, right? It's just a good way to intentionally start your day off. Even if it's just an affirmation, like get up, get on YouTube, put an affirmation on and listen to that and get your day going. What better way is it to start your day by somebody pumping something into you that's positive? Like you got to feel like Superwoman or Superman. You have to. My homeboy sent me a ratchet one. He was like, I need you to play this every day. Now, I can't really do it because it's real ratchet, but I like what she's saying. And I'm not going to repeat it, but she definitely was saying she that girl. And I was like, I like this. It's a bop, but I can't play that every morning. But the point was, what I like that he said is my daughter was going through some rough times, and I sent this to her and told her to play it every day. So when you go through something, sis, I want you to play it too. So the intentionality behind it was super dope. And I love that. It kind of touched me. But if I feel like having a ratchet day, don't get it twisted. I play it, right? But on a day to day, I can't do that. But yeah, setting a morning routine, nothing rigid. My prayer is not rigid. Like I said, sometimes I'm laying in the bed and I'm just playing it because it's what I'm trying to put into my id, into my deep down, right? Into my shanana to make sure that I get up purpose driven. There we go now. Ask for help in this season. I've been asking. I said it in my first podcast, my second podcast. I ask for help now. I don't like people to say, we want to help you, but we don't know what you need. So now I ask, hey, could you step in this room for me while I go do this? Hey, I need, today a parent called me and said, hey, what do you need? I can bring some snacks. Usually I'd be like, girl, we good. I said, we need cereal. We need milk. She said, do you need snacks? Yup. Whatever you'd like to bring, I receive it. Thank you very much. Because again, my pride would have probably told me, I got it. No, it's okay to ask for help. My son has a surgery on the 18th. I'm going to need help. So I'm going to ask. I think I'm going to hire a new person, part of the team, which is dope. But I'm going to ask, listen, guys, I need you to hold it down while I don't come in here because I need to be with my son intentionally. Boom. All right. So asking for help. It says, don't do it all and don't pretend to. I'm learning to delegate more with KKEA and I'm delegating more with Impact. As a matter of fact, tonight, probably right now, a meeting is going on and I'm not there. I told them I'm not going to be there. I shouldn't have to be there. I trust you all. Give me the notes. I'll follow up on the notes. If I have any questions, respectfully, I'll come back in and ask you. But this is why you guys are part of the team. I shouldn't have to be there. I have a podcast to do. That feels so great. right? One of my board members was like, "You want a pre-approval? Absolutely. Check them out, see if they good, pre-approve them, bring them to me. I'll be the final." I'll say yeah or nay. All right. So entrepreneurial tea, I got 10 more minutes, so I'm gonna make sure I talk about this real quick. Your boundaries and your balance. Remember, I said I'm doing better with boundaries, but balance, I can work on it. All right. Here it is. Here's the tea bag and the truth. This week's flavor is boundaries and balance. Here's the sip. Balance doesn't mean everything is equal. It means everything is honored. Oh, that's so good. That means I believe in all of these things, but everything doesn't get the same time. That's equity, essentially, right? It's not equal, it's equitable, it's different. People think everything should be equal, just like they think favor should be fair, but it's not. Ah, catch that. All right. So, and boundaries, they're the gates that protect your garden. That's so good, right? Because if you keep something bound on, like say, if you like me, I like the garden. You don't want the rabbits to come into your garden. So what do? You put up some type of a fence. That's a boundary that says you can't come here. If you have a dog, you set up a gate because you can't go into this space. That is the boundary. You need that in your life as well. I'm talking to myself now. I am. At KKEA, we stop work at a set time. Now, this we do. We do this. At Impact, we focus on what we do best. That we do, right? I tell people all the time, people say, oh, you should do this. That's not what I do best. I would love to have a bunch of group homes, but I focus on children on the autism spectrum in a school setting. Group home, maybe down the line, but right now, I do what I do and I do it well. I keep telling people that do what you do and do it well. That's a boundary for me. Because if I start doing everything that feels good or looks good or seems lucrative, or then I'm stretching myself again and I'm back outside of my boundary. Ineffective, poor management, and it's going to drive you insane. Do what you do and do it well. That's a boundary. Okay. Don't let people tell you, because in business, they'll try to pull you, especially if your idea is great. Oh, great. Well, you should. No, thank you for that. But this is what I'm going to do. Because if God gave you that plan, stick with that. It's not for everybody else to tell you how to do it, or they would have done it, or should have did it. There go that right there. So I do it that way. We focus on what we do best. And in my own life, I'm starting to say no to things. I don't like the way that makes me feel. I told y'all last week, my brother will tell you in a minute. I'm sorry to hear that. Love it. Because that don't have anything to do with me. And if it doesn't, I got to say no. It's been times that I've said that and really ticked people off, particularly in my household. But if I don't feel comfortable, if I don't want to do that because I'm tired, especially us as women, what do? We say yes, 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 yes until we pass out. Nobody's going to save you, sis. They're not. Nobody's going to care that you're tired, because the expectation is if you've been doing it, you're going to keep on doing it. You have to say no. And that's kind of where I'm going to end it. You have to remember that a boundary is simply saying no. And the more you get comfortable with saying no, I've been seeing this meme fly around Facebook that says, the older I get, no. I love it. If it wasn't so trivial, I'll get it tatted. As I get older, no. My daughter texted me last night, Mom, could you pick me up something to eat on your way home? No. You've been chilling all day. I've been ripping and running since I went to church. Got my eyes examined. Went to see your brother. Now I'm at the grocery store. No. You've been home all day chilling. No. And I wanted to go back and explain why. And the Holy Spirit said, back that out. No is no. Because she's not walking in your shoes and nobody's going to know what you're going through. So it don't make no sense to say, well, do you know what I've been doing all day? Nobody cares. They really don't. So just simply say no. No explanation. That's a boss move right there. Sorry to hear that. Because if the shoe were on the other foot, I would expect that people say no too when it imposes on their time, on their mental health, their physical health. If you don't feel well, say no. If you don't want to do it, say no. Now, don't be a jerk about it. No. Don't do that. If you can, try, right? But if you don't feel like it, don't do it. If you're tired, don't do it. If you don't have the capacity, don't do it. Someone asks you to borrow money, don't feel obligated. Because here's what I know, and this is it for me. And I said this before, so I'll always say it again. We always want to be Captain Save 'em. And what you tend to do when you keep saying yes, 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 is you stop people from being accountable for their own life, their own money, their own things, right? Maybe you should have managed your time out better. No. Maybe you should have budgeted better. No. No, no, no. Because then it makes you look back at yourself and say, how can I fix this? And if it don't, what my brother say, I'm sorry to hear it. Yo, check this out, y'all. Having it all has nothing to do with the money. Having it all is setting priorities, boundaries, and balance, right? It is living your purpose filled life and doing all the things that God has downloaded into you. Not the things that you think should happen because you saw it on social media or because your neighbor did it, but the things that you've heard God download into you and that makes you go. It's the thing that if you weren't getting paid for it, you do it anyway. Because here's what's going to happen. If you do it and do it well, you will get paid for it and you'll get paid well. Sometimes it's going to be in dollars. Sometimes it's going to be in-kind donations. But I tell you what you're not going to do is you're not going to fail. So get up and do that thing. Set them boundaries. Have it all. Put it in context. Check them boxes off. Don't forget them 4 points. Go ahead and do some mapping. Set them boundaries. Say no, right? Go back and play this again and write some notes because at the end of the day, you're not the only one who wants it. You just have to remember how to prioritize it. I'm working on it. You should too. Check it out. I'll be back next week. I'm ready to go home and do absolutely nothing because I have no homework to do. Because again, this is my time. So I'm done. Until next week, thank you for being here with Break Free with T. Marie. I'll holla at y'all.